All right, so let's get started. This is our 8th Sisterhood of Health session. It's really been a COVID passion project. And I don't know if we'd be able to get it off the ground this well had the isolation period not happened. So it really fueled the creative outreach mindset. So what I'd like to talk about first is what is the Sisterhood? We are a collective tribe of thriving women on a mission and pursuit for higher health. And so any friends of yours or family or colleagues who you think need some help or desire some health inspiration, please share the Sisterhood with them, and we will be sending out all the recordings afterwards, so you can send along anything that resonated with you. And each week we focus on a theme, and all of our speakers will speak to that theme. We have 3 pillars of health: mindset, movement, and micronutrients. So give a wave to Elle Daftarian is our mindset speaker. Dr. Jody Shapiro is our movement speaker today. And Dr. Kira Taylor is our micronutrient speaker. And we also pick 3 guiding words in line with our theme. And so one of our health sisters will be reading the 3 words she selected. It's always a surprise. So Madeline McConey, are you in the list here? Madeline. I don't see Madeline yet. Okay, we're gonna have to do this on the fly. Actually, I have an idea. Each of us will share a word that resonates with us for confidence. So I'll put Dr. Kira Taylor on the spot first. What word comes first to mind?
I would say authentic.
Love it. And Elle?
She literally took my word.
Mine too. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
I'm gonna say, connected to thyself.
Great. Authentic and connected to thyself. Jody?
Strength, inside and outside.
Beautiful.
And now me, hot seat. Confidence is trust, comes to me. So, trust in self. All right. And okay, let's go right into it. We're ready. So we're starting with our mindset component. And so Elle Daftarian is a friend of mine who we met on very serendipitous terms and continue to collaborate and share ideas. And so Elle is a leader in health and motivating others. She and her husband have created a platform called the Inner Circle, which is a reset program that is just built around all things that we promote here at Higher Health and for the Sisterhood. So it embodies mindset, micronutrients, movement, recovery, rest. And so Elle also has founded a company, I over K, and this fits in line with our confidence theme. So I over K stands for imagination over knowledge. I just love that concept. And so if you have a chance, follow her on Instagram there. And so Elle is also the author of a book called 9 Shifts. So she's going to be educating us and inspiring us on that book and what those 9 shifts are, however many we get through. And as a special gift to everyone here today, you will receive a copy of her ebook version. So I'm so excited to share that with you all and for you to meet Elle Daftarian.
Thank you.
Take it
what
away,
an introduction. So yeah, I guess I have a limited amount of time, so I want to try to get through as many of these shifts as possible. I wrote this book about 3 years ago with the intent of just writing about my process and everything I had gone through. I got married super young, had a baby, was in an extremely toxic relationship, very dark place in life at a very young age. And, I always played a victim to that until I finally one day decided not to. So the main concept of my book, initially I wrote it kind of as a memoir to myself and for my girls to have one day, someday they could read and learn. And then it turned into something bigger than me. The book's title is actually called The Beautiful Mess. The 9 Shifts is the header. And it really actually is me. I'm a hot, beautiful mess. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned from them. And I wanted to be able to share that with people, because I realized as time went along and I spoke to more and more women that we all make pretty much the same mistakes. We all learn the same way. We all feel the same things. And ultimately, we all want to feel one thing, which I will share with you at the end. So here goes. We're just going to get into it. I'm going to put my timer. So if I run out of time, I'm going to be able to. I want to be respectful of everybody else. So we're going to start with shift 1. Shift 1 is a really important one. And it's know when enough is enough. So this kind of philosophy came to me from a really inspirational person. His name is Jim Rohn. He says, until a human being has had their enough is enough moment, they're never going to live a fulfilled life. And it's it was something that really struck my heart, because it was true. For me personally, when I hit my enough is enough moment is the day I had courage to get up and move and do. Eleanor Roosevelt says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that is so true. We allow people to take advantage of us. We allow situations to control us. We never, ever give ourselves permission to do what we really feel is right. And we suppress a lot of things. So that is shift number 1. I'm not going to get too deep into these shifts, but if any of you have any questions and want to reach out, I'm sure Tara will be more than happy to share my email with you. Ask me anything you want afterwards. Shift 2 is a really important one. It's the imperfect art of improvising. I know that sounds a little silly, but here we go. I'm going to explain it. So this shift is embracing the messy and imprecise in life, being forgiving with yourself and others. This is something we really have a hard time doing because nobody wants to be imperfect. One of my biggest principles, and what I always tell people, is live by the principle of being a cook. So, a cook is, when you're cooking, you're a lot more forgiving with your ingredients. But when you're a baker, there's an actual science to baking. So when you look at life and everything it encompasses it, go from an angle of a cook and not a baker. So be forgiving, allow yourself to just make mistakes. It's okay. There's no such thing as perfection. Trust yourself that everything that you're doing is the right thing for you. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to challenge it. Just sit with it, let it be, and feel it. It's important to feel these things. One of my favorite, actually my logo, I over K, is a quote from Albert Einstein that I've kind of has followed me since I've been 15 years old. And I use a lot of his quotes through my shifts and through my book. So I over K is imagination is greater than knowledge. Knowledge is limited to what we know. Imagination encircles the world. Another quote that I use on this shift is the only source of knowledge is experience. So how do you know what is right and what is wrong until you've actually failed? And failure is an imperfection to a lot of people. So we try to hide it. So we'll leave that shift there. Actually, one other really important thing with that shift, the imperfection shift, is one thing that I find, that is really, really affects this is today's media environment. And it's really hard when you're nonstop exposed to, everything that's glossy and beautiful on Instagram, and you see people living their best life. And I think it actually mentally really affects a lot of people when you just feel like you can't be that. And I think the one thing we have to realize is that we're only seeing a very small percentage of these people's lives. We don't know who they are. We don't know their pain. We don't understand their struggles. So we see a very little sliver of who they are. So that does affect who we become and how we judge ourselves in our own personal lives. And the environment of the past, also lessons we've learned from our families while growing up, whether or not we're conscious of it, they kind of affect us, and it's a really important one. So shift number 3, this is a really big one for me, is adjusting your money mind. We give so much power to money. Jim Rohn says time is more valuable than money. You can make more money, but you cannot get more time. And it's so true, because a lot of times, we're so fear-driven around money. How are we going to pay our bills? And how are we going to get by in life if we don't have money? So we have to work more, which means we take away time from the people we love, from the things we love, and we give our constant energy to this source that really could be toxic. Money doesn't equal security. And I'm just going to use myself as an example. I got married really young, and I married for all the wrong reasons. I grew up not having a lot. So for me, a lot of my energy went into money. I wanted to make money, and I wanted to be successful, because that equaled success to me. So what did I do? I worked really hard. I married someone that worked really hard and was successful, so I can have all these things, right? The house, the car. And when I had all of that, I realized this money mind that I had, this thing that I was driving towards, really didn't serve me. I wasn't happy. I was actually more confused. I felt ashamed. I was insecure. So all this power I had given to this one thing actually failed me epically. So it does not equal security. The need for material wealth is one of those things we learn from the influences around us. And it's definitely not something we're born with. Actually, I have to read you guys this quote, and then we'll move on to shift 4. This is from Christopher Reeves. He says, "Success is not about money and power. Real success is about relationships. There is no point in making $50 million a year if your teenagers think you're a jerk and you spend no time with your wife." 100% true. Shift number 4 is fail, fail, fail. This is something I had a problem with, because I always looked at failure as if you fail, people will not look at you, and they will not respect you. And, what are they going to say about you? And this shift is so important, because reframing what what you perceive as failure and learning from it. Don't allow failure to set you back and get you stuck in a helpless mindset. We become victims. We feel sorry for ourselves when we fail. And really what we need to be doing is taking these failures and looking at them and saying, what did I learn from this? What can I take away from this that is going to make the next thing in my life bigger, better, and more beautiful? Maya Angelou says, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. That is a really, really powerful quote to me. And a big part of these shifts is that you always focus on how you're going to learn and how you're going to grow out of a situation. Do not ever get yourself stuck. And again, don't give power to fear. There's so much I have to say, but I'm going to just keep going. Shift number 5, a second look at success. And I'll use myself again as an example. Success to me looks so different today than it did 15 years ago. I look at every aspect of my life at this moment, and I feel so privileged and I feel so successful. And when I tell you I have a quarter of what I had 15 years ago, and I've never been more happier. And the only reason that happened is because I allowed myself permission to actually sit back and reflect on what success looked like to me, not what success looked like to others that are looking at me. I think that's a really, really important thing, because I've had many businesses and I've closed many businesses, and the people that know me know that I've never ever stopped smiling. I've never not stopped moving forward, because success is not in the one thing that you do. It's you have to constantly work at it, and it's from the inside. It's not from the outside. So that's a really, powerful thing that I personally went through, is just like looking at myself and going, okay, what's important to you? What are you going to do in your life that's going to bring you happiness? So for me right now, success equals happiness. Doesn't equal a job. It doesn't equal having material objects. It equals, what is it that I can do every day to live a healthy, happy, fulfilled life? I'm going to use another Maya Angelou quote and say, success is liking yourself, liking what you do and liking how you do it. Shift number, what are we? Sorry, 5. We're on shift number 6. Selfishness is a virtue. I grew up in a Middle Eastern household, and we were not allowed to be selfish. You had to always do for others, and that's what made you a selfless person. That's what made you a good person. And really, for me, doing the work and learning about, being selfish, embracing selfishness is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. If you love yourself, if you give yourself that, if you honor yourself, then guess what happens? You're allowed to give that back to others. You're allowed to share that with others. And actually what happens is that you attract that back in, right? So, being selfish, having courage to say no to certain things because it feels good to you. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're healthy, to all of you out there that are parents or have families, if you're healthy and every single day you bring that person forward, these little humans are looking at you. So all they want is to be like mommy and be like daddy. So if mommy and daddy are content and fulfilled, that little human will turn into a happy, healthy, fulfilled human. Steve Jobs, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you truly want to become. And I'll leave it at that. Shift 7, care less, carry less. Letting go of values or pressures that you've picked up from others if they don't accurately reflect what you authentically value. So, this is a big one for me because I gave so much energy to people and things that did not matter because, again, I was looking for affirmation. So really actually caring less of what other people think of you, coming from a place of your truth, like not allowing anyone to dictate what is right and what is wrong, because we're all different. We're all our own unique individuals. There was not a mold that was made for each of us. We're all individuals. So when someone's telling you how to run your business or how to live your life, for me personally, and this might sound a little crazy, those people are not invited into my life, unless you tell me I'm amazing and I'm good and you are happy for me and you don't judge me, you're not allowed in my life anymore. So being very careful about who you give your energy to and caring a little bit less about what people think of you will really, help you to attract the right people, the right things into your life. Shift 8, do less, inspire more. I get so many messages all the time about, how did you do it? How did you go from an unhealthy relationship to a healthy relationship? We're so inspired by you, and I want to do this because of you, and I want to do that because of you. And honestly, it's the biggest reward when I know that I've inspired someone to do something different. I think that's the key. We all live to, get approval from the outside world. And so we forget to, again, be our authentic self. So living your truth, being your authentic self is a vibration that you give to the world. And that vibration of complete fulfillment is, people attract that. People get it. The ones that need it, get it. And that's all you're there for. You are there to inspire people and do nothing else. If you can do that, you are a leader, you're an amazing human, and you are contributing to humanity. Robin Sharma says, you cannot lead others until you first learn to lead yourself. So that's a really important one. And the last shift, and I have 59 seconds. The last shift, which is shift 9, write your own story. Remembering what you once knew okay? Tapping into that inner child who was happy with everything and anything, and just really, you know, looking at life from a child's perspective is the key to this shift. Writing your own story. We're all unique. We're all individuals. You know, there's only one Elle Daftarian. There's only one Tara Campbell. What's her story? What can she share with the world? You know, I'm going to leave you guys with this last quote by Marianne Williamson, and I'm going to say one other thing with this shift, and I am done. Until we have met the monsters in ourselves, we keep trying to slay them in the outer world. And we find that we cannot. For all darkness in the world stems from darkness. Sorry, that was my thought. Darkness in the heart. And it is there that we must do the work. So I'm going to leave you with one last saying that I always say to my children, I say to anybody I love and people that I care about. You know, the most important thing in life, at least to me, and you guys could disagree or agree, it's one thing. One thing you have to do. You have to give love and you have to receive love. And if you're doing those two things simultaneously, your life will be glorious, epic, and just filled with really beautiful moments that you are going to cherish forever and ever.
So great. Thank you, Elle. And that is why we spontaneously or serendipitously were led to each other. That root of health is really love, giving and receiving. And so we have so many other amazing words that have come into the whole confidence theme. And one question that came up for me that will be interesting to see in the thread is, what is the opposite of confidence? Let's look at that. And then at the end, we're going to share all the empowering words that go along with confidence. So thank you so much, Elle. I can't wait for people to read your manuscript, and so watch for that in the notes following. And now we are moving into the movement section with my colleague and friend and sister, Dr. Jody Shapiro. So I love Jody's quote here, don't let your spine get on your nerves. And also Elle, amazing quotes all through, so lots of inspiration there. So Dr. Jody advocates that chiropractic care is part of a larger whole, whereby its impact is enhanced when you embrace a lifestyle that includes exercise, healthy eating, and smart living. As an advanced Ashtanga yoga practitioner, world traveling cyclist, foodie, and I lost myself, foodie and dog lover. Her dog is named Bob.
You're going to hear him. He's crying.
Dr. Jody leads by action and example. She inspires greater wellness for her clients, friends, and family, and everyone she meets. So that is a true sister of health. Today, Jody will be sharing her wisdom by teaching us easy at-home strategies to boost our confidence, energy, and overall health through spinal alignment. Take it away, Dr. Jody.
Thanks, Tara. Thank you for inviting me and including me in this awesome group of panelists. So I'm going to talk about spinal health, chiropractic as it relates to posture, as it relates to confidence, and I'm going to get some help showing you some stuff that you can do while you're standing or laying on the ground. But from a chiropractic perspective, confidence and posture go hand in hand. So if you have optimal posture, you have optimal biomechanics, and optimal biomechanics are what chiropractors specialize in. So, I mean, I think we can all agree that if you see somebody walk in the room, or you meet somebody and they're all hunched over and slouched over, whether they're feeling it on the inside or not, it sort of exudes an air of lack of confidence. Whereas if you see somebody shoulders back, standing up tall, chin lifted, for what you automatically think, oh, that person's got like a great energy, they're confident, whether they're feeling it or whether they're not. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, or we've all heard the theory that, if you're feeling blue or sad, just put a smile on your face and your neurology will change. You'll actually start to feel happier. Same thing with confidence. So same thing with posture. So if you're in a slouched over position, if you force yourself into good posture, which I will help give you some tips, your confidence will just improve. Same thing. So unfortunately, these days, actually, I forgot to set my timer, Tara, so you'll give me notice. These days, we unfortunately live a lifestyle that I'm going to call it the 2 Ds, with desks and devices. So for a lot of us, we are, especially now, sitting for a large part of the day. And because of the pandemic that we're currently experiencing, we may not be in the most optimal ergonomic setup that we may have in an outside office. Ergonomics is one thing that can certainly help with posture. That's a whole different conversation. We also have the second D, which is devices. So most people are either looking at their tablets, looking at their phones, or they're slumped over their desks. So what happens when you're in those positions over time is everything in the front gets shortened and everything in the back gets weakened. So whether it's your glutes, your back muscles, your trapezius, your neck, those muscles are not being engaged enough. And our chest muscles, our hip flexors, because we're seated, everything is getting shortened. So those things do not lead to good posture. So there's certain things you can do during the day to mitigate them. And like anything else, good posture takes work. Like Elle said, you have to work constantly at it, consistently and constantly. It's not just going to come to you. If you want to lose 20 pounds, it's not just going to happen if you diet for a day. You have to, it's a process and it's a lifestyle change. And the first thing is just the awareness. So although I cannot see everybody participating, I feel like as soon as I started talking, everybody stood up straight, sat up straighter, right? Thanks, Lisa. So it's the awareness. So one of the things I get my patients to do is, if they are at a job that requires them to sit all day, is to set a timer on their phone to force yourself to get up every hour, every 2 hours if you have to. Like, I understand sometimes you're in a meeting, but if you force yourself to get up and do a couple of the things that I'm going to recommend, it just will make a huge difference in the long run. So let me just see if I skipped over anything. Oh yeah, there was a great study actually that was done in 2018, and it's a journal called Neuroregulation, and they investigated. It was about 125 students. The average age was about 23, so not all little kids, but they investigated mental math performance. So every student was given a math task, like a simple math test. They started at a very high number and subtract 7 as you go down. And they had the students do it in a slumped over position, and then they had the students do it in an upright position. There was no real difference in how they performed, but their perception about how difficult the task was real. So the people, when they were in their slump position, the math task was more daunting, was more difficult, whereas when they were sitting up tall, they found it easier. So what happens when you're slouched? Lots of bad neurological circulatory things happen. So if you are in a bad slouch position consistently, and that's the way your body is holding itself, we actually have we could have up to a 30% reduction in lung capacity. So what happens if you're not able to take a deep breath? You can still breathe, you can still function, but what is happening to the oxygenation in your brain, your circulatory system? So just the mere fact of sitting up straight allows you to breathe deeper. Allows you, like I said, more oxygen to the brain, which will improve your performance. So for those of you who actually do get up from your desk daily and move around, even go walk around the block, take the dog for a walk, do you not find yourself more energized? You're more focused, you're able to do your job better. It's the same thing. So if you're slouched over, you can't breathe properly. If you're sitting up straight, you have better lung capacity. I mean, aside from the obvious, being in a slouched position all day can lead to headaches, back pain. Those things are, well, at least to me, obvious. So I'm going to show you some things that'll help improve your posture and maybe make you more productive at work, and obviously give you the confidence to walk into a room, confidence to get on with your job, confidence to tell your kids to leave you alone. Okay, so sitting at your desk, you set your alarm, you're going to take a break. Really simply, having the awareness of keeping your shoulders back, your chin a little bit tucked in. You can just do some shoulder rolls. So what that does is, it, aside from getting your circulation going, and you could do it both ways, it's sort of reminding you, oh yeah, those are my back muscles back there. I need to use them. So I sort of recommend you 10 and 20 forward, 10 and 20 back. The other thing you want to be aware of is you can just do, it seems really simple, but it's actually pretty beneficial, is the chin tuck. So extending and contracting your chin. Again, forcing the back of your neck, those little muscles that are doing this all day, to be engaged. And it does create a strengthening, again, if you do it on a regular basis. So those are things that you can do even while sitting at your desk. I have lots of other tips, but in the name of time, those are just 2 little things that you can do. Okay, I'm going to get my helper here. So give me a second. I'm going to move to some standing stuff you can do.
Is Bob helping?
Yeah, Bob is going to help. Bob is going to be annoying.
Bob the dog.
Janice has met Bob. Okay, there's Bob.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Bob.
So I flipped it for you. I'm going to stand against that wall.
Oh, wait, so, Bob really is doing
that? Yeah, Bob really is. No. I travel with my own cameraman.
Bob knows his ABCs.
And Bob knows his ABCs.
A, B, C, D.
Okay, so as a general rule, just sort of on an everyday basis, the things that you want to think about when you're just standing. So there's sort of 5 things that you can focus on. So when most people think about good posture, they think about, oh, I got to pull my shoulders back. It's not that. You want your shoulders sort of retracted and down. And it's not a matter of hiking up your chest. You almost want to feel like there's a glass of water on your sternum, and you're just sort of lifting that, okay? So you want to think about lifting the sternum. It's minor, but it does a huge amount just to bring your shoulders into the right position. And again, because most people carry their head anteriorly, you want to think about bringing your ears over your shoulders. Again, it's not so much about hyperextending the neck, it's just simply bringing the ears over the shoulders. The other thing with good posture is most people think they have to hyperextend their back, their sacrum. It's not so much that, it's actually tucking the sacrum, and the way to achieve that is squeeze your butt. So engage your glutes, put the glass of water on your sternum, pull your chin back so your ears are over your shoulder, and pull in your belly. So you want to not contract your abdomen, you just want to slightly flex those muscles. So belly in, butt squeezed, shoulders back and down, sternum up, and ears over your shoulder. The 5 pillars of good posture, and you just want to think about them sort of on a daily basis. And the more you train your body to do that, the more that it will automatically remember that. So when I also mentioned that one of the things that happens from sitting all day is our front gets weak and our front gets short and our back gets weak. So one of my favorite stretches, again, you can do this several times during the day, is to stretch out our chest, the pectoral muscles. So you can use a wall, you can use a door frame, you can use a wall or door frame. You want to have your elbow at 90 degrees against the wall or the door, and you just want to sort of step forward and think about pulling your shoulder forward. You're not yanking it. It's very easy to engage this stretch, and you will feel your pectoral muscle stretching. You want to hold here, you want to breathe like 15, 20 seconds. So this will engage your pec major muscle. You also have a pec minor that's a little bit deeper in the chest. If you lift your elbow a little bit higher and do the same thing, you'll feel the angle of the stretch go a little bit deeper and lower. And this really helps open up the chest muscle. You want to do it on both sides and repeat it if you have the time. Again, if you can do nothing else when you take your little break from your desk, do the shoulder rolls, do the neck tuck, and do the pec stretch. And then if you have to go back to your desk. If you have more time, or at a later time, I'm going to take it down to the floor. If you have a foam roller, this is a really good friend to have. There's 2 ways of using this that help open up. Again, we're lengthening the front of the body. Okay, we're just going to talk about lengthening the front of the body first, and then I can talk about strengthening the back of the body. So you can get a foam roller anywhere. You can even get it at like Winners, HomeSense, Amazon, and there's 2 ways of using this. So again, lying on the floor, or even in your, maybe not in your bed, but on the floor, you want.
Bob, come here.
Okay, Bob, go over there. Go to your bed. Go to your bed.
Go stretch, Bob.
Hey, bed. Wait.
stay there. The benefits of working from home. So just lying over the foam roller, you can even rest your head at the end. This will help drop the shoulders back and open up the chest. And you can lie here for a few minutes as long as it's comfortable. That is one way of using your foam roller. The other way of using it is turning it long ways and putting it just underneath your shoulder blades, and again, lying back. So if it's terribly uncomfortable, you can use towels or a rolled sheet. So you don't even need to have the foam roller. This is quite a deep opening. And again, the longer you can lie here, the more of the benefit you're gonna get. Okay, you can sit. Good boy. So those are 2 things that you can do with the foam roller. Now, if you happen to be a bit of a gym rat or know how to use weights, cans, you can strengthen the back muscles. So strengthen the back muscles, you can do things like flies, do overhead. That's a bit of a longer conversation, but if you are familiar, if you do have some sort of a gym routine, you want to really focus on strengthening those back muscles. Those back muscles are going to help hold you up. And if you don't, there's a couple things you can do without weights. One of my favorites is you're lying on your belly, this Bob's in the way, with your hands behind your head. You just want to do little lifts. And again, what this is doing is strengthening the back muscles. Now, I talked a little bit about what happens when you engage your abs. So I know some of you are Ashtanga yoga practitioners. Now, Ashtanga yoga is really good at engaging the core. We do 2 things. We hold our core when we are doing the practice in Ashtanga yoga. There's a lot of plank movements in Ashtanga yoga, and there's a lot of upward dog movements in Ashtanga yoga, and that really helps counter the effects of slouching and posture. But if you're not an Ashtanga yoga practitioner, you can just do planks. So I actually am going to be putting out a video of how to plank properly. But again, some of you know the basics of planking. And what planking does is it's actually a whole body exercise if you're doing it correctly. And it was really core focused. There's tons of variations on doing a plank. I can give you about 30 different variations so it never gets boring. But what I do recommend is if you are going to plank, and if you want some tips on how to plank properly, I'm happy to help. You can feel free to contact me. But you want to use your timer. You want to use your clock. So you're holding it for a minimum of 30 seconds and then working your way up. So you can do 30 seconds, drop, take a rest, and come back. And you just want to keep building up that strength, and you'll see that it actually happens pretty quickly if you're consistent with it. Okay, I'm done with my personal photographer. And my dog, I didn't know I'd have so many assistants today. Okay, I just want to make sure I covered everything that I wanted to talk about in terms of foam roller, weights, no weights, yoga, planking. I think I covered all of the basics that I wanted to cover in terms of things that you can do just on a daily basis that aren't too complicated, that don't require a lot of equipment. And, if nothing else, you can YouTube how to do these properly. But again, I have some videos out that do explain them, and I will be putting out a plank video, how to plank video. So the theme is good posture and confidence. So like I said, if you have good posture, confidence will at least come from the outside, and then we can keep working on the inside. So how do I want it? I don't have a really great quote, but my quote is chin in, shoulders back, deep breath, and of course smile, and you're halfway there.
And don't let your spine get on your nerves.
And don't let Bob get on your nerves.
Can you use Bob as a roller, foam roller?
I think I pretty much have.
Thank you so much. And actually, I came up with something with how you, for posture, when you said pretend a water glass is on your upper chest, hydrate your heart. So think of that. And doesn't good posture just make you smile? When
All
you,
of the above, yes. And if
Yeah.
you're smiling, you look confident on the outside, even if you're not feeling it
Yeah.
on the inside. But that's the start. You got to start
Yeah.
somewhere.
As you were walking us through the exercises, I felt like I was smiling. So thank you so much, Dr. Jody.
Thank you.
We'll include the recording of this and also Dr. Jody's planking video afterwards, so you can access that. And I love that you brought it into planking for posture. I wouldn't have thought of that. So
Oh, hey, that's now I know what to name it.
yeah. Okay, and now for our micronutrient component. I am so excited about this talk. It is my favorite nutrient. And so Dr. Kira Taylor, one of our naturopathic doctors at Higher Health, will be inspiring us about the Take Charge vitamin, vitamin C. Dr. Kira is another serendipitous sister to me. I love how we met. I remember it was such a busy day at the office, and Dr. Kira was in her 4th year of naturopathic college, and she was coming into preceptor, and she was standing at the door just watching me run all around. And I said, I need help. And so here she is. She graduated, and she was our front desk through school through her last year, and then now I'm so happy that she has joined the Higher Health team for the past couple of years now. Dr. Kira is kind. She has a calm present, always insightful, truly present to life, friends, and family, and she has the best laugh, and she is beautiful inside and out. So educate us on vitamin C, Dr. Kira.
Oh, thank you so much. So I feel like I'm sitting up straighter now, which is so nice. But I'm super excited to be chatting today, speaking on vitamin C and its many benefits to our body. And I think you'll understand why we call it our Take Charge vitamin. So I'll be speaking on what it is, how it helps us, how to take it, and how much to take. So to start with, vitamin C is an essential nutrient. So it's called ascorbic acid, and it's essential. So that means that we cannot make it in our body. So we need to get it from food or from supplements from an external source. And what vitamin C is largely known as is an antioxidant. So a lot of people have probably heard about antioxidants, but what that really means is basically an antioxidant is a molecule that can donate an extra electron to an unstable molecule. So it's going to stabilize these molecules. And these are called reactive oxygen species, and they are created through multiple processes in our body. So through normal like metabolic function, breaking down food into energy, our immune system function, even coming in contact with pollutants and toxins, which we know are kind of widespread in our environment. So all of these processes are going to create these reactive oxygen species, and then antioxidants like vitamin C are going to help stabilize them. So this is one reason why vitamin C is going to help with so many different processes in our body. Most of our cells actually utilize vitamin C. It also helps to regenerate other antioxidants like vitamin E, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. So it's really just going to help to boost that antioxidant status. Vitamin C is also a cofactor. So a cofactor is a nutrient that's going to help an enzyme to take a process from A to B. And last week in our Glow Sisterhood call, Dr. Laura talked all about collagen and how vitamin C is a cofactor for the production of collagen. So it's going to be beneficial for skin health and all the other benefits that collagen has for us. So that's kind of why vitamin C is going to be used by so many processes in our body. But in terms of specific benefits, I wanted to start with immune health. So this is something that vitamin C, you guys probably know about vitamin C for that. It's probably one of the ways that it's most commonly known for. And it's top of mind right now, obviously. And so with our immune system, through normal immune functions, a lot of those reactive oxygen species can be created. So vitamin C is going to benefit it from that perspective. And vitamin C also actually helps to stimulate the production of our white blood cells, so things like neutrophils. So this is basically like our body's defense mechanism. Like these cells are going through our bloodstream and they're looking for injury, they're looking for a pathogen infection, and they're going to help to protect us. So when we look at the research, we look at things like colds and flus. Vitamin C is heavily studied, and we see a benefit in taking kind of like a prophylactic dose, maybe a short-term dose over a long period of time, and then really boosting up that amount right before you get a cold or a flu, like at first signs of illness. And I'll chat more about doses later, but we do see a benefit there, especially in kids' immune systems too. It can be a really, really supportive nutrient for them. And then we see it in a lot of other kind of immune conditions. So like viral infections, like shingles and herpes, even pneumonia and lung conditions. Like we do see vitamin C being researched in that perspective. And another thing that a lot of people probably suffer from are allergies. We see allergies having an inflammatory component, but they actually also have an oxidative stress component. So we see high doses of vitamin C in helping with allergies. So that's really interesting. And then the second big thing that I really wanted to talk about, and I think that this is also something that all of us can kind of relate to, I think, like pandemic or not, whatever's going on, and that is our body's stress, anxiety, and our adrenal gland function. So our adrenal glands are little glands that sit on top of our kidney, and actually vitamin C is most heavily concentrated in our adrenal glands and in our brain. So those are the two areas that it's most widely found. And our adrenal glands are going to regulate our stress response. So whenever we come in contact with a stressor, which is, it communicates with the brain. So this can be something that's happening like a perceived stressor, or, you know, maybe you're running away from that tiger, or the car in front of you slams on its brakes. Your adrenal glands are going to produce neurotransmitters and hormones, so like adrenaline and cortisol. And then this is going to help our body, to help protect our body from this stress, help us manage this stress. Now, we see in research that we actually will give participants vitamin C, and then we'll put them through a stressful situation, and we'll measure their blood pressure, we'll measure their cortisol, and then we'll measure their experience of stress or anxiety. And we actually see that when they take vitamin C, their blood pressure isn't as high, their cortisol is going to return back to normal faster, and then they're going to have a lower experience of stress or less anxiety. So this is really interesting. And you know, I think we've talked a bit about this on prior Sisterhood calls, but this idea that, you know, we have this sympathetic nervous system. So that's fight, flight, or freeze. So that's what's going to help us when we do come in contact with that bear, or the car slamming on its brakes, or your daughter crying. And our body's meant to then secrete those hormones, but then we have to come back down to baseline, right? We have to activate that parasympathetic rest and digest, because it's that chronic elevation of those hormones that then causes the issue. So that chronic level of stress and anxiety. So I think it's really interesting that vitamin C is so concentrated in those glands, and then they're really going to help us recover or not experience that peak as much. And I mean, I think about this in the context of confidence as well, because to me, part of confidence is knowing that I can kind of handle what life is going to throw at me, right? Like we're all experiencing stress. We're all going to experience things that are going to be challenging for us. So knowing that we can handle them, I think, and taking care of those adrenal glands and that stress response and that nervous system, I think that's all really going to help us. And then, so the next thing I wanted to chat about as well for vitamin C is its role with hormones. So we actually see that vitamin C helps to increase progesterone levels. And we've talked about this a little bit before too, but you know, as women, obviously we have lots of hormones, and hormones are very much like a Goldilocks kind of situation. Like we don't want too much, we don't want too little. There's kind of like a just right amount. And then that's also going to fluctuate through our cycle. But I think as a naturopath too, like what we often see with women having hormonal imbalances is often it's low progesterone can often be at the root of that. And that's because we need to ovulate in order to make progesterone, and then progesterone and like cortisol have a relationship as well. So, and like in things like perimenopause, right, we're going to see that progesterone levels like declining. So it's really interesting that vitamin C can help to increase those progesterone levels. We also see it in benefiting other kind of hormonal conditions. So things like endometriosis, which is a condition of chronic pelvic pain or really bad period cramps. And we see that inflammation is at the root of that, as well as oxidative damage. So high doses of vitamin C can help with that. Even in the case of fertility, so sperm are actually really sensitive to those reactive oxygen species, and I think our ovaries are as well. So that's why things like high doses of vitamin C and antioxidants can really benefit that as well. So, you know, there's so many benefits like of vitamin C beyond that. So even things like, another one that's interesting is our ability for fatty acid oxidation. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that, like fat burning. So utilizing fats for fuel. And it's actually a molecule called carnitine that is going to help this process to happen. And vitamin C is also a cofactor for carnitine. And then just from like an anti-aging perspective, we know that oxidative stress is kind of at the root of aging. And in that brain, like we're seeing that high amounts of vitamin C in the brain. So that's going to benefit aging long term. So I think you can see that like there's so many different ways that vitamin C is going to benefit us. In terms of how to get it, so we can get vitamin C through our food. I think a lot of us think of the citrus fruits, so that's one way to get vitamin C. The other really high sources are things like bell peppers and guava and kiwi. So basically with vitamin C, and cooking also will kind of impact some of the bioavailability of that. So you can just keep that in mind. But with, so the RDA, which is like the recommended dietary amount of vitamin C, is set at about 75 milligrams. And that is set to help prevent scurvy. So vitamin C deficiency is what we see in a condition called scurvy. So it's like bleeding gums, sore joints, things like that. So you're probably meeting those requirements through your diet, but then to get, you know, we're always about kind of optimal health. So depending on what your health status is, what your health goals are, the amount that you need for your body might be different. So in terms of supplements, there's probably like 3 main ways to get it. So we have just the oral supplement, we have a liposomal supplement, and then the IV therapy. So with the oral, the main issues with oral is just that so when we have vitamin C, it's absorbed in our small intestine through transporters. So basically that means that like the vitamin C molecules have to hop in this transporter to get into our bloodstream. So those are going to saturate at a certain amount. So you'll only be able to absorb a certain amount that way. And then the other factor is vitamin C is one that if you have too much of it, it can cause like gastric distress, loose stools, things like that. So in the research, we see kind of about probably 2 grams will be like the maximum that someone can have, but this will be on a case by case basis, depending on how much your body can tolerate. And then with liposomal, so liposomal is the vitamin C is encased in a lipid molecule. So that can help with the absorption. So you can absorb a little bit more of that. And it has a longer half-life. So it'll stay in your bloodstream a little bit longer. But then there's vitamin C. And I think a lot of you guys know that we love vitamin C at Higher Health, the IV therapy, because what happens is those nutrients are delivered directly into your bloodstream. So they bypass that digestive part. So, you know, they're not going to be maxed by the transporters. They're not going to cause that gastric distress. And we actually have research on this where someone will be given an oral dose and then they'll be given an IV dose, and we can measure the amount in the bloodstream. And we see that with the IV dose, it's actually up to 70 times higher. So it's just going right into that bloodstream, and you're getting that high dose right in your bloodstream, as I said. So, you know, vitamin C it's excreted through the kidneys. So it is water soluble. So we are going to see those levels kind of return to baseline probably about kind of like 24 hours later. So the thing with the dose is that the research is really wide. The range of doses is really wide. So it's really going to be, I think, on a case by case, like individual basis to determine which is the right dose for you. Because we see in the research that it's very safe. Quite high doses are safe of vitamin C. When we get really high in clinic, we talk about a blood test that we have to run to make sure that you don't have an enzyme deficiency, but that's usually at high doses. So we always talk to our patients about that. But in terms of the kind of like 10-gram dose that we normally do, we see that that's quite safe. And then just because, the dose that's going to be best for you will really depend on what your health status is, what your goals are. And it might be like a lower prophylactic dose and then a higher dose, or it could be higher dose for a while to really, because we're really trying to saturate those tissues. So they're getting that benefit of the vitamin C. So hopefully that was resonant for all of you. I just think that it's so interesting how this nutrient can affect so many areas of our body. And again, you know, bringing it back to confidence and thinking like, as a woman, you know, when I feel like I can handle, whatever life is going to throw at me. I feel like I'm in tune with my stress response when my hormones are balanced and, I'm feeling like myself. And then when I have, confidence in my immune system too, that it's going to keep me healthy. I think, that's what confidence is all about. So hopefully that was interesting on our Take Charge nutrient, vitamin C.
Thank you so much, Kira. And yes, we could talk for hours about vitamin C and all its benefits. I've always loved vitamin C, but especially through this whole isolation period, I've just really come to appreciate the oral dosing as well as the IV dosing. So if you have any questions about vitamin C, please email us. And coming back to our 4 words, we're just wrapping up here, and we have another gift for you at the end. So we spoke at the beginning that, and if you have a pen and a piece of paper with you, write these down. Our words from our panelists that were selected were authentic, connected to self, strong in self, and trusting of self. And actually Madeline was on, so I'm going to unmute her. Madeline is going to share her 3 words that she selected for our overall theme. So we have more to add here. And Madeline is going into her 3rd year at naturopathic college. So she is a budding naturopathic doctor and sister here. Madeline, share your 3 words with us that you selected.
Thanks for that introduction, Tara. So for me, the 3 words that come to my mind when I think about confidence are courage, trust, and determination. And so we need to have courage to feel the self-assurance that comes with confidence. We need to have trust in our own abilities and qualities. And we need determination to harness those abilities and appreciate ourselves for who we are.
That's awesome. You are amazing. And so for our final wrap up, just remember that you can access all of our videos or all of the Sisterhood sessions, the full length and then the individual segments on our YouTube channel that we'll include in the notes following this. Pick 3 words that really resonate with you for this theme and just hold them at the forefront of your mind. And we hope you enjoy reading Elle Daftarian's 9 shifts and share with us which shifts resonate most with you. Take your vitamin C and practice your postural exercises and plank for higher health. And our gift for you, I don't know if it's really a gift, but it's letting you know what our theme for next week is. I'm super excited about this one. We have a sexologist joining us. So the theme is sex or sexology, energy, and hormones. So join us next week. We have an awesome lineup. And the other gift I have is Dr. Ashtanga Lisa Novambra, who is one of our movement experts. She is doing, I'm trying to unmute you here. There we go. She will be running a free yoga session on Wednesday mornings from 7:30 till 8, starting to walk you through our proper instruction of the sun salutations. And so that's just a special offering for everyone here. We'll send out the link for that. So that's at 7:30. Lisa teaches beginner yoga as well as advanced. And so she will help you do sun salutations, which they're a perfect way to start your day. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We help you and just carry confidence out into your day and your week. Thank you to all the panelists. You're awesome. And yeah, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, I think I'll just end the meeting here.